So in my previous video, I said I didn't like calling the pentatonic scale shape positions by numbers. For example, pentatonic scale position 1, minor pentatonic scale position 1 is commonly thought of as this one. That is what most people would also call the major pentatonic scale position 5. This would be the major scale pentatonic position number 1. So why don't I like that? Well, what most people try and say to me is that, well, this is position 1. It's the first position of the major pentatonic scale because it's the 1. It's the 1 is being played on the low E string or the high E string, however you want to call it. So, okay, I'll buy that. Let's follow that all the way through. If that made sense, I'd go for it, but it doesn't, and you're going to see why. So let's go to position 2. We're going to just stick with the major pentatonic scale positions right now. Position 2. What we're going to do is adjust the fretboard escalators so that we can see the entire position 2 on both fretboard escalators. So now we can see here, probably don't need that. This is position 2. Now the argument might be that it starts on the 2. Okay, I'll buy it. I'm with you so far. Let's go for position 3. I'm going to adjust the fretboard escalators until we see the entire position 3. Okay, checks out so far. Position 3 starts on the 3. All right, I'm buying it. Well, I don't buy it, but you'll see why. Okay, let's go to position 4. All right, you ready? We're going to slide the fretboard escalator until we can see the entire position 4. So this is what is known as the major pentatonic scale position 4. Where's my 4? The 4 doesn't exist in the pentatonic scale, so there is no 4. So position 4 starts on 5. Okay, what about the next position? Let's switch to our final position, commonly known as position 5. Both fretboard escalators, one with intervals and one without. And now we are, one more half step. Okay, this is position 5. Why? Well, it's the 5th over from where we started at 1, but it doesn't line up with the 6 either. So position 5 starts on the 6. It makes no sense to me. I don't like it. And now you're going to say, well, what do you do now then? How do I decipher between major and minor? You don't. My philosophy and the way I really find this sinks in and is so much easier, and I know a lot of other people do it, but I don't know why it's not more prevalent, is to convert everything to major. So if you have a minor chord progression, let's say, for example, we are in the key of E. Let's do something easy. How about we move this all the way over to the most common key, C major and A minor. Okay, I'm going to move this fretboard escalator as well. I don't know why at this point, because really it's just the intervals we're going to look at. One more. We are now in the key of C major, right? Or the relative key of A minor. Okay? So what you're saying, or what people say now, is if I have a chord progression in the key of A minor, and it's a 1-4-5 chord progression of A minor, that's going to be A minor, D minor, and E minor. Okay? Great. So it's a 1-4-5. Well, if I look at my scale here, I have the major scale laid out here. I don't have the minor scale laid out. I have the 6 now is where my 1 would be, my A minor. So I would have to change this 6 for a 1. Okay, we're already getting messed up. So now I have to go 1, here's my 2 for my interval, and my 3, but that should be a flat 3. So now I got to change this to a flat 3. Okay, it's just getting ridiculous. Why? We can actually just convert. We're going to convert that 1-4-5 minor chord progression to a major chord progression. which is the equivalent on the outside ring. That's the beauty of the circle of fifths style. This is why I invented the circle of fifths style. It converts, it does so much more than the regular circle of fifths. It's so much easier to read. Yes, you could do this with a stupid looking pie chart poster on your wall, but this is so much better. 1, 4, 5 in the minor equals a 6, 2, 3. And you're like, whoa, why do I have to? No, just that's it. That's all you got to do. It's a 6, 2, 3. 6, 2, 3. That is the equivalent of a 1, 4, 5 in the minor. You're done. So now you play your 6, your 2, and your 3. 6 is a minor, you play 2 as a minor, and you play 3 as a minor. If you were to change all these pegs out, so this was a 1, and this was a flat 3, and you went through all of these and converted them to minor, you would end up playing the same notes on here. And the 6, the minor, is the 6 of the scale. It's the 6th mode. So everything relates back to the major scale. So why did we all of a sudden decide we need to renumber everything from 1 just because it's a relative minor? Makes no sense to me. So rant over, make your life easy. Honestly, just convert everything to a major chord progression. And you can do that with the circle of fifths style in seconds. And then you can leave all of your major intervals on here and target the chord tones. They're always going to be the same. So as for an example, on a 6, let's say we take a 6 from the chord and lead generator, and it's a 6, 1, 3. Those are your chord tones on a 6, on the minor 6, every single time. So if you have your equivalent of the 1, 4, 5 minor chord progression, you convert it to major. It's a 6, 2, 3. You drop those plates on the chord and lead generator. Find yourself a 6, 1, 3 combination of intervals. Boom, right there. That's your first chord. Find yourself a 2, 4, 6 combination of intervals for your 2 chord. That's 2, 4, and 6. I could drop a yellow note in here to say, hey, there's something special going on there. That's a 2, 4, 6. That's my 2 chord. My 3 chord's a 3, 5, 7. Now, that's an easy one. 3, 5, 7 right there. Perfect. So much easier. So now we get back to the point. What's your point, Steve? My point was that naming these per numbers, like minor pentatonic position 1 or major pentatonic position 5, makes no sense. And especially if you convert everything to major, you don't have to specify anymore. So now we already know that they're going to be major shapes. What we want to do is apply major or minor chord tonalities to that, and using the intervals, you will do that automatically, just like I showed here. So what do I call them? Well, I start here, right in the middle like this. I call that the bass. It's my home base. Everybody thinks this is the home base. There's your John Mayer equator or whatever you want to call that. Why do I call them by what they look like? Because they're patterns, and I don't want to add another number to this. We've got numbers everywhere. We've got the Nashville numbering system. We've got intervals. We've got chord tones to target. Why add another number to it? Let's call it what it looks like. I look at this and everybody just knows this as home base, so I call it bass. The position to the right of it, I call this house. Why? Because it's got the House of Blues. Easy. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows where it is. I don't need to assign a number to it because we're always going to use this in the major context with major intervals. The next shape over I call the mirror. Now, I'm going to change keys so that we can see the entire shape, just like I did before. I call that one the mirror. Why do I call it a mirror? Because it has a line right down the middle, and it looks like it's mirrored left to right, minus the one change that you drop one string when you bring that guy out to the right. So there is the mirror pattern. I'm going to zip this over a couple more key changes. And now this one is just a funny story because I sat for hours trying to come up with something that this looked like. Well, it's a combination of all of them. So I couldn't think of a name. So I just thought to myself, well, what's that? There's a character where nobody knew his name, and that character was Rumpelstiltskin. So this is the shape with no name, and I call it rump. And it's funny. So I see this and I think rump. I was just learning a Black Crowes solo that uses this shape extensively. This is the second most useful shape. This is an amazing shape. You will love it. So you'll love the rump and you're going to love the bass. The two most useful shapes. Okay, let's move on. We got another shape to go here. Now when we're done the rump, I call this shape the twos. And you're like, why? Why do you call that the twos? Well, because it's got 3 sets of twos. 2, 2, and 2. Cover that up. This I call the twos. So here's that John Mayer equator is coming up on us again, right? But the twos, 2, 2, and 2. Left side of the equator. Left side of the bass. However you want to think of it. There's the twos. And then if I were to change this again, we're going to be back to the bass. And now we're back on the bass shape. Perfect. Bass, house, mirror, rump, twos. That's it. That's all you got to remember. Now, when you convert all of your minor chord progressions to major chord progressions, you'll be able to target the exact same notes every single time. You will know the 1, 3, 6 will always be there. Always, whether it's major or minor. They're never gonna change. All right, you will like this. You're gonna watch my other videos and see what's coming up, and I really think you're gonna enjoy the system. You'll make really good use of your intervals this way, and there will be no confusion, no naming numbered positions that make no sense, and they're just you could call them Bob if you want, but if you stick with my numbering or naming system, we can both be on the same page. So thanks very much for watching. If you like these tools and you want to learn in a visual and tactile style like I do, this is the circle of fifth style. These are fretboard escalators. That is a chord and lead generator. If you head to musiclabs.ca, you'll be able to find out how to get them.